I hope my son's antics don't disturb you.
Madam, were it in my power to sentence him to 30 days hard labor, they would not disturb me in the slightest.
Smashing day for it. On holiday?
No.
Oh, Leslie. It isn't true. Oh, beg pardon, ma'am.
Miss.
Yes, of course, yes. Have to be, wouldn't it?
Damn fool. I suppose I'll be expected to tend to his wounds after he piles up, and I don't feel at that. No one injured, at least. No apparent damage to the cars. Young fool must lead a charmed life.
That's a lot. My money's on the servants. The servant's usually always the guilty one in the end.
Welcome to Sticklehaven, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Davis, the harbour master.
Sorry. Waiting for me.
That's everyone then. The other bags are already on board the boat there.
Blimey. It must be him. In the flesh.
All set, Narracott?
Ready, sir.
Right. I'll leave it to you then. Sea's calm. Should be a pleasant crossing. If you leave now, there's a squall coming. I can smell it.
Why is it called Shipwreck Island?
Well, the weather can turn nasty quickly. There are many submerged rocks, lots of wrecks hereabouts, and that big rock at the tip is said to resemble a beached schooner. The locals call it Ship Rock.
You're not from around these parts, then, Mr. Narracott?
No, sir, I'm not.
It'll never work.
If you would be so good as to follow that path up to the house, my wife will show you to your rooms. I expect you'd all like to freshen up after your journey. Where's Fred?
Under the weather. I took his place.
You'd be the brother then. I see the resemblance. Will you help me with the bags?
Yes. I've been hoping to get a look at the house.
Ladies and gentlemen, silence please. This is your host, UN Owen. You are charged with the following indictments. Edward George Armstrong, that you did upon the 14th day of March 1925 cause the death of Louisa Mary Cleese. Emily Caroline Brent, that upon the 5th of November 1931 you were responsible for the death of Beatrice Taylor. William Henry Blore, that you brought about the death of James Stephen Landor on October 10th, 1928. Vera Elizabeth Claythorne, that on the 11th day of August 1935, you killed Cyril Ogilvy Hamilton? Philip Lombard, that upon a date in February 1932, you were guilty of the death of 21 men, members of an East African tribe? John Gordon Mackenzie, that on the 4th of January 1917, you deliberately sent your wife's lover, Arthur Richmond, to his death? Anthony James Marston, that upon the 14th day of November last, you were guilty of the murder of John and Lucy Combs? Thomas Rogers and Ethel Rogers, that on the 6th of May 1929, you brought about the death of Jennifer Brady? Lawrence John Wargrave, that upon the 10th day of June 1934, you were guilty of the murder of Edward Seaton? Prisoners at the bar, have you anything to say in your defense?
Filthy night. I tried to go out to get some more wood for the fire, but the wind drove me back.
A storm like that will keep us all indoors.
My apologies for the accommodations, Mr. Narracott, but all the beds are taken.
Makes one wonder where the Owens were planning to sleep, doesn't it?
A good servant follows instructions, sir. He does not question his employer, unless you'd like to share the deceased's room with the corpse.
This will do fine. Thank you, Rogers.
I'll wish you a good night then, sir.
If what Narracott told Vera is true, and mind you, I take anything he says with a grain of salt, then they will not be sending a boat until at least Monday, even if the storm clears.
Wise to remember, Narracott's the odd man out here.
Yes, thanks to you, I believe, Blore.
At least nothing else has occurred.
I hope you are correct, Miss Claythorne. However, I feel compelled to draw your attention to this table's centerpiece.
Now 2 are broken. How odd.
Ah, Mr. Narracott, good morning. Since Mr. Marsden won't be joining us, there is an extra place for breakfast, although breakfast itself seems to be a trifle behind schedule.
I'm afraid there is no breakfast at present. Mrs. Rogers has not been able to carry on this morning.
What's the matter with the woman? I was promised fresh apple juice this morning.
I must tell you a sad piece of news. Mrs. Rogers died in her sleep.
Whoa!
Five bullets are plenty.
Oh, Hugo. I'm so sorry.
Self-righteous, smug old hypocrite. letting Narracott play his detective games with a real professional on the case. He got no more than he deserved. Were you upstairs just now?
No.
One of them's out of his or her room.
Whoever it was went out the front door.
I'll follow. Find out who's missing. That's our killer.
No tricks, Narracott, or I'll light you up like Guy Fawkes.
Lombard, listen to me. Blore is dead. Armstrong's dead. So is Wargrave. You're next. You have to be.
That may be your plan, but it won't work.
There's no way Owen can approach you without being seen. Correct?
As we're proving right now.
So it must be some sort of trap. Already set before you came up here.
What sort of trap?
The rhyme. 2 little sailor boys sitting in the sun. One got frizzled up. The only thing approaching the sun on this island right now is that fire. Get away from it.
I like a good explosion as much as the next fella, but not when I'm the target. I owe you an apology, Narracott, and my thanks for saving my life.
Believe me, I wasn't sure. You out of everyone had been responsible for the most deaths.
Your detecting skills played you false there, old boy. You see, I'm not Philip Lombard. My name is Charles Morley. Got papers to prove it, too. Bill was a friend of mine. He committed suicide a couple of weeks ago. I was at his place when the solicitor Morris rang up. It sounded suspicious. I thought it might have something to do with Phil's death. I wanted to get to the bottom of it, so I came along in his place. Besides, 100 guineas is 100 guineas.
So you're no murderer?
I'll confess I've thought of murdering you more than once the past few days.
Listen, Lombard. Morley. I need to ask you a terrific favor.
You've earned the right.
Can you play dead for a while? Stay out of sight.
Vera must be the killer.
The jury's still out as far as I'm concerned. But if Owen thinks you're out of the way, he may try for me.
Or Vera, if she's innocent.
Which is why I have to get back to the house.
Say, old man, if you want to get into the house without making a racket, the window to my bathroom is open. I used it to get out on the balcony and, make sure Vera was safe.
Uh-huh. Okay, thanks for the tip. Will you lie low? Come running if there's trouble.
It'll be a pleasure to return the favor, old man.
But I don't understand. How can you be here? How could you get into my room so easily?
Too late.
I'm sorry, Lombard. You may have left those men to die, but Owen had no right to be your executioner.
Chapter 10.
But I don't understand. How can you be here? How could you get into my room so easily? Thank you, Charles.
That's right. If you ever need a break from Narracott, Charles Morley is in the London Directory. Treat her right, Narracott. As far as I'm concerned, you're a better man in a tight spot than Phil ever was. This little sailor boy isn't going near the sea for a long time to come.
Will you listen to me now?
If you insist.
Hugo and Cyril went down to the beach early that day. By the time I arrived, Cyril was out too far. It was too late to reach him. Hugo claimed he had been distracted helping a passerby with directions. I knew how it would look. I thought I loved him. So I told the coroner's inquest that it was I who had been on the beach. Later, when I was cleared, Hugo was jubilant, yet his feelings for me seemed to have vanished. I realized I had served my purpose. How would it have looked if the boy who stood between him and a fortune died while in his charge? He didn't think he'd done anything wrong. That was the most frightening part. Cyril wanted to swim out to the rocks. All Hugo did was let him.
Mr. Owen invited the wrong guest. It should have been Hugo out there.
No. I should have told the police the truth in the first place. I will now. I have no more right to subvert justice than Mr. Owen. Where is your brother?
Plymouth, turning himself in. Thanks to your and Morley's statements, he's sure to be exonerated.
And us?
Are you still confused?
No. I'm certain now. What about you?
Well, there's another ending to that 10 little sailor boys rhyme. One little sailor boy left all alone. He got married, and then there were none.